Hello, people of the internet. Today I wanted to talk a bit about mindfulness in the perspective of like a staycation mentality. I started out vlogging many decades and moons ago, talking a lot about travel. I've traveled a lot, I've also lived abroad a lot, and I think a lot of people who do smaller trips, especially, have this sort of like post vacation glow that happens, or they have the opposite and they're just depressed and um, anyway, but we won't talk about that. So I think the thing that happens when you go somewhere else new, you're spending the whole day looking around, trying to take everything in because you know this is maybe the only time you're going to be here. You're looking at all the buildings, all the restaurants, like the possibilities are endless. And you just kind of have this mentality that everything around you is interesting and new, and you want to check out every little thing, and you just notice things more than you do in your day-to-day life when you're just on autopilot going through. Having said that, the mentality behind being on vacation, I think the first few times when I did big trips and then came home, I had this like long period of time where I would still be like in the vacation mode, the staycation. So you're at home, but you're still like looking around, appreciating the things that like a tourist would appreciate. And I think you find this a lot when you live somewhere and you kind of like forget about all the things that tourists find interesting, but then you have a visitor from abroad and you're showing them around, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I haven't been here for years, or oh, here's this attraction thing that's been 20 minutes from my house that I've never visited my whole life, and now I've been here for, my whole life or however long. So I think this is like a good way to think about how a non woo woo version of how to be mindful is to like picture yourself as if you were somewhere that you're not going to be for the rest of your life, even if that is your plan. And look around and see, like, what are the interesting things that are happening. There's different seasonal things, there's maybe different buildings that you can go in and check out, all the different, like, restaurant streets. Like, we get into this autopilot where it's like you go the same route to work every day, or you walk the same way to the train or bus or whatever it is. And what I used to do when I worked in Vancouver a lot is I would get off work, and instead of just going straight to the train on the way home, I would like wander around a bit and like check out something for like 30-40 minutes. Just have like a little staycation at home moment where you're just like, oh yeah, this part of English Bay I haven't been to for a while, or walk into the park, or like up past the art gallery or something. And yeah, so I think that's like a little like easy cheat way to sort of get into mindfulness, and not just as a thought but as an action, I guess is what I'm getting at, is like instead of just being on autopilot after work, going straight home, turning on the TV, stuffing your face, like ignoring the fact that you have a life and that you're lucky to be wherever it is that you happen to be. Every place has things. So I wanted to give a few little examples here. So when I was living in Scotland, for example, I moved to Fort William. I think I was there 3 months in the end of winter, beginning of spring, or maybe end of spring, beginning of summer. And one big attraction everyone comes to see is Ben Nevis. It's the biggest, tallest mountain in the UK, and by Canadian standards, a fairly easy hike. The end of it, uh, there's some snow, which in UK terms means the maximum difficulty, apparently. And I used to go hiking if I had an afternoon off, which was probably like 2, 3 times a week, because I usually worked mornings, I would take off, maybe bring some food, usually some water, and just like kind of go on a wander. There's hikes everywhere. It's not just Ben Nevis, but a lot of times I would just start following a trail and just like see where it would take me. And I think 3 different times I ended up like basically climbing to the beginning of the summit of Ben Nevis just by accident. Everyone else, some people have their whole life planned around hiking Ben Nevis, and I've probably did it like 12 times. I only went to the summit like 2 or 3 times, but you know, the point is that like wherever you're living, someone might have an idea to go there, and it's like they've been planning it for years. And like when I went back home, we went to Bouchard Gardens on Vancouver Island. And like so many people who live on Vancouver Island have never been, or haven't been for years or whatever. And it's just like one of those things that, yeah, when you have like a visitor coming, you bring them because it's a highlight attraction thing. But you can also do that in your own, wherever you happen to be. It doesn't have to be some big grand thing either. It can just be like a little like cafe, a little stroll along the river. Like there's all these that kinds of things, and I think that's why I enjoy living abroad rather than just going on short trips generally, because then you can kind of like spontaneously, maybe you have morning off, you have an afternoon off, just go to whatever the local thing is. And it might not be like a big wonder of the world thing, but it's like something that takes you not that long and is whatever, something you're interested in. So like for example, when I was in Northland in New Zealand, there is so many waterfalls. I mean, throughout New Zealand, there's a ridiculous amount of waterfalls. It's kind of like Scotland with the castles. And I remember there was one local one that I went to so many times I can't even count. Charlie's Rock in Kerry. And I would just go randomly, because you could just go park on the side of the road, or you can even, it's not that far, you can walk there from town. It's a little trail, maybe 30 minutes, and depending on the water conditions, you could swim at the end potentially. And then yeah, it's just like one of those things that, but like some people go, and it's like the highlight of their Kerry whatever time that they're spending there. Also, another one was the waterfall in Whangarei, because like on the way, if you're going anywhere south, like to Auckland, I guess, you have to go through this city, and I would almost always make a point to stop at the waterfall. First of all, because there's public bathrooms, and it's like a nice little pit stop, and there's no stops like after that. Also, just to be like, okay, do I need anything? You know. Sometimes there was a coffee guy with a van, so that was a highlight as well. Um, but yeah, I would stop there all the time, and then I feel like some people went specifically to do, because there's a little walk around that waterfall as well, specifically to see it. It was very big. Um, yeah, very cool waterfall, but it would just be like my stop on the way up. I also had another one which was, I can't remember the name of it right now, but it was like a beach just south of Whangarei. So I'd have like my two little stops that I'd make every time I was going north, and sometimes south as well. Usually it would be one or the other, but sometimes both, depending on what kind of hurry I was in. But yeah, there's always like these little things, and the one in Kerry as well, the waterfall in Kerry. If I was on the way back from work and it would just happen to be there, it's like, of course you're gonna stop for like 5 minutes. It's literally like park, walk 5 minutes, you're at the waterfall, and then go back. It's like you can do that. There's always stuff like that. No matter where you are, even if you're in the suburbs and you think like, oh, there's nothing really around, there's always going to be something. even if it's just like your local park and it's not like a big, obviously, international tourist attraction. You can get out there, appreciate, oh, look at this tree. You know, like it's blooming now, it's springtime, or it's winter, it's whatever, having its leaves drop in the winter, that sort of thing. And there's always something you can go out and appreciate as if it's the last time you're going to see it, because you don't know. You could be dead tomorrow. So today could be the last time you see all the things. So that was my thoughts about staycation mentality as a sort of way to get into mindfulness. Um, yeah, I don't know. Any examples that you have of your own? Leave in the comments. There's always something. There's always something. No matter how big and how small, you can appreciate. So yeah, I hope you're doing well, people, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.